and I have to be personally trustworthy. I can't create a culture of trust if no one trusts me. I can't create a culture of trust if one person doesn't trust me. I have to be genuine. I have to be authentic. I have to mean what I say. I have to say what I mean. And then my role sometimes is to protect team boundaries. I have to create air cover for every one of my teams, sometimes more than others. And I take blame for things they do. And when something goes wrong, and it always does, you blame and fix processes, and you never blame people. If I blame people, then my operating assumption is this. On your way to work this morning, as you were commuting in, you thought to yourself, what can I do to screw up today? And then you check that box when you script it. Got it done. No. People don't come to work to do their worst work. They come to do their best work. And if they're having a hard time doing their best work, I've got to look at the things that are stopping them from doing their best work. And I'm the leader. I've got to remove those barriers. What's stopping you from being successful? Let's fix it. I can fix processes all day long. Never blame people. Does that mean people are blameless? No. But my assumption is the process is broken. If the person's broken, that'll exhibit itself over time. And in the meantime, I've optimized the process like you wouldn't believe. So the next person can be more successful, even if that person was to blame. Does that make sense? Always focus on process first until you completely give up on the person. And then you don't find them another job. Just don't send them those who can. Be transparent, over communicate. Oftentimes we technical people think if we say it once, that's all that needs to be said. You have to repeat it over and over and over. I once heard this guy speak at a conference. He said, every leader should have the acronym for their role of CRO, Chief Reminding Officer. Remind all the time. Every time I get together with my teams, we have a monthly town hall meeting, the entire IT team, and we either cover the first or the end. Here's why we're doing what we're doing. These are our themes. These are our goals. I figure everybody needs to hear it on at least a monthly basis. Not much. Okay, questions on that? Questions on what's in my time? Ooh, we better hurry. Gordon told me 40 minutes, and I've only got 3 left. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Okay, growing ownership. The important thing for me is this. If I want to grow in ownership, I'm going to focus on why and what with my teams and never talk about how. I'm going to get out of the how business entirely. Talk about why. Now I'm going to talk about what. If I have to. I've learned over time that if I'm really good at articulating why, sometimes I don't even need to talk about what, because they'll figure it out. And then I have to give my teams context to my customers' whys, because that helps them understand the why better. So why and what, never have. And always talk about why. Always. That means I have to push out decision making. One of the reasons I got into my leadership roles early in my career is because I'm a really good decision maker. I can just naturally sort through all these trade-offs and options and say, bang, here's what we should do. It means I've had to get out. I've had to walk away from the thing that made me unique and special. I cannot make decisions like I used to. I still make decisions, but they're a lot higher level. I make a decision about why, and sometimes what. But I can't do the other stuff. It's hard. It's hard for me. I'm really good at decision making. So I'm walking away from my expertise. Next, I can never problem solve. I'm an amazing problem solver. It's a gift. It's a talent I have. I can look at various symptoms and I can say, bang, there's the root problem, the root cause. Solve that, all this other stuff goes away. That's valuable. My teams could use that every day. Instead, I tell them, oh, that's a terrible problem. How are you going to solve it? Even though I already know how to solve it. So why in the world don't I help them solve it? Because as soon as I do, I take away their ownership. And I will also, I don't want to be a problem solver. I want to be the world's expert at developing problem solvers. So can I, when they ask me, Neil, how can we solve this? Rather than give them the solution, can I lead them through my thought process so it becomes a repeatable process for them? I can. What have you tried? What symptoms have you looked at? Have you identified any commonality among those symptoms? The same thought process I go through, they can go through. But again, that changes my role. I got my leadership opportunities because I'm an amazing problem solver. And now I'm saying I can no longer solve problems. The two things I'm best at are the things I can no longer do. That's hard. Okay, just quickly, we'll finish with this. Here's the idea. What I want to do when it comes to ownership, when it comes to why and what, is create this thing I call the macro leadership cube, just because it's the opposite of micromanagement. This cube is, here are the outcomes we need to achieve. Here's some things you need to consider. Here's the budget. Here's the people. Here's the time. That's your responsibility. That's your accountability. This is the thing you're going to own. And I let them navigate inside of it, and I never check how they're doing inside of it. I don't care how. It's entirely up to them. All I care about is they're delivering the results without violating any of the considerations, on time, on budget, with the right resources. That's all I care about. And then all I've got to do is have some light indicators in place to let me know when they're going off track. So I can do an intervention before they go off track. That's all I need to do. What are the indicators they might be going off track? That's all I need to collect. Make sense? So I've changed the way I think about my life, and I've decided I need to build a relationship of trust in every relationship I have. Every relationship I have. With my team, with my peers, with my boss, with my vendors. I've told multiple vendors over the years, I'm sorry, I can't work with you anymore. Why not? I don't trust you anymore. I don't have time in my life to not trust you. The few times I've had to fire people, I told them, I'm sorry, I can't have you work for anymore. Why not? I can't trust you. And I don't have time to not trust you. Does that mean that I have to become kind of a babysitter over you to monitor you? I don't have time to babysit. Besides, I'm a terrible babysitter. Ask my sons. When I was left in charge, it was bedlam. I had to get out of my office and spend time to build those relationships of trust. And I have to build credibility. One of the first things I do when I inherit a challenged IT team is we focus on operational excellence. Because we can't talk about relationships of trust if the organization thinks we're the gang that can't shoot straight. You build credibility through delivery. So you got to get really good at delivery over and over. And once you're really good at delivery, now you can influence things like strategy. O.C. Tanner, the CEO, introduces me. This is Niel Nickolaisen. He's our CTO. He's the person leading our company strategy. Why? Because we focused when I first got there on delivery, delivery, delivery. I don't think the CEO would introduce me as, this is Neil, the guy who's driving our company strategy, but operationally his team's really bad. I don't think those two go together. So what does it take? What must be true? What are the things you have to do? And then turn over to your teams, how are you going to get done? It'll improve delivery. Okay, that's it. Remember, leadership's not for the faint of heart. It's hard. It's the hardest thing I've done in my life because I have to question myself all the time. I'm one of those points now with my team at O.C. Tanner. They've matured. And I feel like I'm starting to be in their way. They're doing things that I like to do. And I'm struggling with, am I ready to walk away from them? And do I trust them to do it as well as I do? I'm having a hard time, but that's okay. It's a good problem to have. When I'm asking myself, how should my role change? Because they're becoming like me. And that sounds a little arrogant, but if I've got a team that can make decisions and problem solve like I can, that's pretty powerful. Because that increases our throughput like you would believe. Because at OC Tanner, we get stuff done in weeks now that used to take us years. Why? Because I'm just not there, standing in their way, having everything go through me. I don't have that much time in my day. All right, any questions? That's it. Yes?
So one of the things you mentioned was autonomy. How do you balance like autonomy as a general statement with the actual like, okay, the reason I'm not involved in managing you because I don't want to micromanage, so you're autonomous. So how do you balance that level of involvement so that people don't feel like well, you're just never involved with me? Which means
that's a really good question, and I think, and there's because I don't want to solve your problem for you, I have no idea. I can tell you what I do. I have regular one-on-ones with everyone on my team. I have meetings with small groups of my entire team. Sometimes at the team level, sometimes we mix them cross-functionally. And my one-on-ones, I already know they understand what the goals are. And the question is, what's getting in your way that you need me to move? What do you want to be doing 2 to 3 years from now? And are there opportunities I need to be thinking about giving you now that'll prepare you for that? And what feedback do you want from me on how you're doing? Those are kind of the 3 topics we talk about in the one-on-one. But other than that, those are my agenda items. They can add any agenda item they want. I do those every 2 weeks. It takes a lot of time. It's a half hour per person every 2 weeks. That's 4 hours every 2 weeks. That doesn't sound like a lot. With my schedule, that's a ton. Because I'm already working 60 to 70 hours a week. Those are 4 precious hours, but I think they're my best hours. And then to make sure that my teams have context for all that's going on. That's why I have those quarterly small team meetings with everybody. I've got one starting next week, my next round for this quarter. And the agenda is, first of all, I always give them an update on directionally where we're headed in the company. Because it's been interesting. When I inherited the team at OC Tanner 3.5 years ago, we were order takers. The company just dumped requests on IT. Well, the relationships changed where now we're the ones leading the company forward. So it's an interesting change, but at the same time, that means I need to make sure they really understand directionally where we're headed. Because I need everyone heading that same direction. So I was kind of giving an update on directionally, here's where we are. Any questions on that? This time it's, as you look at where we are, both culturally and from a process perspective, if you could change one thing, what would you change? I like that question. If you could change just one thing, what would you change? Because that forces them to kind of prioritize of all the things we could change. This is the one that I think would make the biggest difference. And that's what this meeting will be. It'll be groups of 10 to 12 people for an hour. And that's what I do. Because I literally spend 20 to 30% of my time with my 100 meetings. So I want to maximize the value I get from that and that they get from that. But it's hard. It has to matter. Their development has to matter to me. Yeah, Richard.
Yeah, I think it's about macro leadership too. How do you, if you do need to intervene, how do you intervene in a way that still meets without violating the ownership and trust that you?
And again, I think you'll have to figure that out. I've experimented with and tried a lot of ways. Here's how to do it at a macro level. So I've got these 90 high priority projects. The way I get a sense of whether they're on track, off track, I do it a half hour a month. Not kidding you. Every project team lead comes into the same room. It's with about 40 people. We've got our list of high priority projects, and I ask for every project 3 questions. It takes less than half an hour to answer this for every project. What did you get done since last month? What will you get done this month? What problems are you having you need me to solve? Now, if I do that next month, when I first got, so this month I asked them, what will you get done next month? Next month I asked them, what did you get done last month? If those two don't match, something's not going. something's a little off. That's how I do it. But I've tried everything. We do experiments all the time. I'm an agilista. We do experiments. Hey, let's try this. Okay, who's going to try it? The rest of us are going to observe and see, does this work, yes or no? It works. Okay, who else wants to try it? It didn't work. Okay, let's never bring that up again. That was a little embarrassing. What were we thinking? Of course we knew it wasn't going to work. We do a lot of experiments. We try methodology experiments all the time. Anytime I've got teams doing different methodologies and processes in kind of an experiment, we're going to do a head-to-head. We're going to see who got better outcomes. But, this is hard. I struggle with it. I never wanted to be in a leadership position, primarily because I went through the first part of my career having been so disappointed in everyone around me that I minimized all human contact. And so suddenly, because of my amazing project or problem-solving and decision-making skills, they start putting me in charge of people. And I'm like, no, I hate people. But I didn't want to be bad, so I had to get better at leadership. But, they always ask the question, are leaders made or born? I wasn't born. I avoided leadership like the plague. I wanted nothing to do with it. People just disappoint me repeatedly. And so now I'm in charge of these boneheads. Oh, that hurts. So I had to get good at it because I hate being bad at it. And so what's my leadership style like? And how should it be? Because the way I was liked was a micromanager. And I don't think that worked. Obviously, 10 people haven't talked to me in 17 years. 10 people that I love. They have reunions all the time, and I don't get invited. I'm not kidding you. It's painful. So anyway, it's hard. But I try to work on it every day, and I read a lot. I try to get better at it. And I try to improve my interpersonal skills so that, because my natural state is a jerk. So it's hard. Here's my natural state. I'm impatient. I lack empathy. I'm impatient. I lack sympathy. I'm impatient and I'm arrogant. And I'm not sure that's a great combination. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Ooh, it's 12:51. Okay, I think we're done. If you have any questions, like I said, I've written a couple of books. One specifically on this trust leadership model. If you want a PDF copy, just send me an email. I'll fire it off to you because the book deal is this. If you're going to don't buy a copy of my book. Buy thousands of copies of my book because that'll get me into like $10. Because I think on each book, Addison Wesley makes a ton of money. I made like a fraction of a cent on each book. So if you're going to buy big. I mean, really big. Pallets. Okay, thanks everyone.
Well, I just want to thank Niel for coming. This is an amazing presentation. We'll put a link to this video up. You can source it. But are you going to be around for a few minutes? Okay, so if you have more questions,
So at least 8 minutes.